Good afternoon and welcome to Matador News. I'm Samantha Benitz.
And I'm John Salas. We're here with the latest national, local, and CSUN news.
Today is the day. Americans are now showing up to vote for the 2014 midterm elections. Across the nation, 33 U.S. senators are racing for their state's votes. The voting today will determine what party will control the Senate. All 435 members of the House are up for election. In California, voters will be deciding on new propositions. Proposition 1 will help determine the future funding for a water bond. Proposition 46 regards raising the limit in medicine malpractice and testing doctors for drugs and alcohol. We will have more on this later in the newscast. Proposition 47, if approved, will reduce certain crimes from felonies to misdemeanors. This will lead to a large reduction in jail populations. After years of controversy over corruption and the mistreatment of jail inmates, Los Angeles County will be voting on a new sheriff. Polls opened at 7 this morning and will be open until 8 tonight.
Evan Stevens is in the newsroom to discuss voting behavior of CSUN students.
The Center for Responsive Politics says almost $4 billion will be spent on these midterm elections. Voter turnout in the midterms has been lower than presidential election years, going back to the mid-1800s. The Pew Research Center says demographically the electorate tends to be older and white. Only 25% of the eligible millennial voters say they plan to vote in the midterm elections. I went out to talk to some CSUN students, and they aren't voting.
I want to vote, but I just don't know any of the information on the people who are running and what they're running for, so I guess not.
I probably won't vote. I just really don't know too much about the elections or the people running. So probably not this semester, but maybe next semester.
Well, I'm not registered to vote, and I really don't know what's going on with politics. So I think that if I were to vote, it would be like a very uninformed decision.
The midterm elections are something that aren't portrayed as important as like a presidential election, and I feel like some people just they don't pay attention like more of the propositions. It's more like presidential elections, so they don't think it's important enough to go out and spend their time to do that.
The polls close at 8 o'clock tonight, so get out there and vote.
Fired 2 commanders and disciplined a 3rd in response to internal investigations of leadership lapse and misbehavior. Colonel Carl Jones, the No. 2 commander of the 90th Missile Wing at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, was the latest to be relieved. Air Force Global Strike officials say Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Keith Brown was also relieved of command on Monday. Brown allegedly made statements to subordinates that created a perception within his squadron that pregnancy would negatively affect a woman's career. The Air Force Nuclear Missile Corps has suffered a rash of recent setbacks, including the firing last year of its top commander and a number of security lapses.
The Freedom Tower in New York City is now open for business. It's the centerpiece of the 16-acre site where the Twin Towers once stood. There has been controversy over cost, design, security, and even the structure's name since 2002. 13 years after the September 11th attacks, this 24-story building marks a rebirth for many New Yorkers. The new centerpiece tower will stand between their currently under construction transportation hub and 7 World Trade Center. More than 2,000 employees from the Condé Nast magazine empire have already moved in.
Secretary of State John Kerry urges the U.S. and China to work together to stave off a global catastrophe from climate change.
World coming together to meet what is not just an environmental threat, but an economic threat, a security threat, a health threat, and a security threat because we will see refugees in certain parts of the country displaced by vast changes in the ability to grow food, the ability to receive water, and the ability to survive.
Kerry heads to Beijing this week to set the stage for a visit by President Obama for a regional summit and talks with the Chinese president. He is also set to meet top diplomats from Australia, Indonesia, Japan, and New Zealand.
Pro-Russian separatists have staged swearing-in ceremonies for their leaders in eastern Ukraine. The leaders were voted in over the weekend despite disagreement from people in Kiev in the west. They say pro-Russian separatists ignore terms of a peace plan to end the war that has killed more than 4,000 people. Most fighting is halted in eastern Ukraine, but the front line remains dangerous.
Thousands of Shiite pilgrims are traveling to Karbala for a 10-day religious ritual. Ashura marks the anniversary of the death of the Prophet Muhammad's grandson in the 7th century. Imam Hussein died in a battle outside Karbala, which fueled Islam's Sunni-Shiite split. The Holy City is currently being protected by more than 30,000 Iraqi troops to prevent any sectarian attacks. This is the first time a Shura has been witnessed since ISIS took over parts of southern and western Iraq.
2 suspects are in custody in Mexico City after being accused of ordering an attack on the 43 missing students. Students were last seen September 26 being escorted by police after a violent outbreak that killed 6 people. Guerrero City Mayor Jose Abarca and his wife Maria de Los Angeles Pineda were arrested earlier this morning after being in hiding since late September. 38 bodies have been found in marked graves in Iguala, but forensic authorities are still trying to determine if they are the missing students. 43 organizations are marching for justice for the missing students. The march has been going on since Monday, and plans are to arrive in the capital city within a week.
CSUN's Office of Government and Community Relations is hosting a panel on women in Los Angeles politics. Matador News reporter Katherine Murillo is live at the Sundial with more details on this event.
Thank you. I'm here with Francesca Vega, who's the Director of Government and Community Relations here on campus. Thank you so much for being here.
For having me.
So Thursday, November 6th, CSUN is holding the Women in Los Angeles Politics events. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. This was an idea that actually came up from the director of the Institute on Southern California, Christy Mashad. She had approached me about working together. In my role, I'm always trying to find ways to bring visibility to different programs and initiatives on campus and how we can form some kind of synergy with our elected officials in the region. So she had talked with me about bringing together some of the women elected officials in the area to have a conversation around the political landscape and around, building the pipeline of leadership in the region for women. And so I helped her with, looking at who would be the best fit for this discussion, outreach to those elected officials or former elected officials, and basically making this a lively opportunity to bring together students and community stakeholders to hear the experiences, of these women.
That is so awesome. Now, with women making up half the population, why is it you think there's such a lack of them in politics?
Right. Well, 50% of Californians are women. 30% are representing us in a legislative body. Okay, so it's unbelievable. We have one woman, and one of the panelists on Thursday is Councilwoman Nuri Martinez, who is the only woman on the Los Angeles City Council, which makes absolutely no sense, especially given the size of Los Angeles, and we're a progressive city. If we can't do better than that, then there's a real problem. I think that the biggest issue that we're facing is getting women engaged early on, again, building the pipeline of leadership. There are so many different leaders in our community, whether it be with community-based organizations, whether it be with the nonprofit sector, whether it be on campus, and women leaders on campus, on our college campuses, that we're not nurturing. They're leading in their own right, but we're not nurturing them or providing tools for them or exposure to actually run for office one day. This is an opportunity that we're missing as women. I really think we're in a better place as far as momentum and having a really robust conversation around, getting more women elected and women supporting women. So hopefully our numbers will get better.
Thank you. And with all of that said, why do you think it is so important for women to have a place in politics?
Well, first, and really one of the most obvious reasons, is because you want your elected officials to represent the community. And again, in just California alone, 50% of Californians are women. So we talk about diversity when it comes to the Latino community, when it comes to the Black community, LGBT community, Asian Pacific Islander, but yet here we are, we don't even have gender diversity. We don't even have, we need women helping to make these decisions that are impacting women. So whether it's childcare issues, whether it's women's health issues, if it's not for having the representation of our community alone, we definitely need women at the table where decisions are being made that directly impact all of us.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much again for joining us. And please make sure to attend the event this Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. in the Oviatt Library with a panel discussion to follow. Now back to the newsroom with Beau Akers with Health.
California voters will decide today with Prop 46 whether or not doctors should be drug and alcohol tested. If passed, physicians will also be required to check a statewide database before prescribing certain drugs to prevent patients from so-called doctor shopping for multiple prescriptions. And the cap for non-economic damages in malpractice lawsuits will also be raised. The cap is currently at $250,000, and if the proposition passes, it will go up to $1.1 million. A senior Vatican official has strongly condemned Brittany Maynard's decision to opt out for self-assisted suicide. President of the Pontifical Academy for Life, Ignacio Carrasco de Paula, says, "Dignity is something other than putting an end to your own life." Maynard became the public face of the controversial Right to Die movement in the last few weeks before her death. She announced she intended to kill herself under Oregon's Death with Dignity Act after doctors diagnosed her with terminal brain cancer last spring. Some CSUN students have strong opinions about self-assisted suicide.
No, I don't believe someone should take their own lives. If anything, you just have to go with whatever time you have and enjoy it on Earth.
I know it's hard at times for people. I mean, people go through situations and where they feel like they're at a point, at that end point, but I feel like there's always a solution besides death, and that's with anything in life.
I think if they're in extreme pain, or they're going to, they know they've already done research and they know they're going to have no quality of life, then yes, I think it is a decision that people should be able to make.
Maynard peacefully ended her life Saturday in her Portland, Oregon home, surrounded by her loved ones by taking a fatal dose of barbiturates prescribed by her doctor. A nonprofit advocacy group called Compassion and Choice has spent $7 million on patients' right to self-assisted suicide and is working to expand those rights into other states. 5 states, including Oregon, have already assisted suicide laws. Now let's check in with Nancy Moreira for a look at business.
Ford recalls more than 200,000 vehicles in North America for a variety of reasons. The recalls range from gas leaks to airbag sensors installing, as well as other issues. Ford officials say they are aware of one accident due to the issues. Major recalls were mainly on pickup truck, F-150, and Ford Flex family haulers. It is also the second time they recalled the Ford Crown Victoria due to steering shafts. The rate of people seeking unemployment benefits is up, but remains historically low levels. The Labor Department says weekly applications increased by 3,000 for seasonal jobs. A rise in exports and an increase in government defense spending helped the U.S. economy grow faster than the expected in the third quarter. The U.S. economy grew at an annual rate of 3.5%. The economy is predicted to achieve consistently stronger growth for the rest of the year as well as of 2015. Let's pass it back to Beau Akers with a look at what's going on in sports.
The Indianapolis Colts are back to their winning ways after defeating the New York Giants 40-24. Colts quarterback Andrew Luck threw more than 300 yards for the 8th time this season. Giants quarterback Eli Manning threw 2 touchdowns, but too late in the game. The combination of Luck and tight end Colby Fleener has proved invaluable to the Colts' win. The Colts will play the Patriots in 2 weeks, and the Giants will be visiting Seattle next weekend. The LA Clippers took the win by 6 points in a close game against Utah Jazz. Clippers won 6.5 seconds left in the game, providing the final points for their 107-101 point victory. Clippers point guard Chris Paul says his team needs to be more aggressive against their competition. Both teams will play tomorrow. The Clippers will play an away game versus the Golden State Warriors, and Utah Jazz will play at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Lakers hope to win their first game tonight as well against the Suns. YouTube co-founder Chad Hurley has purchased a part of a Los Angeles sports team. Hurley invested in the upcoming Major League Soccer team alongside Magic Johnson, Mia Hamm, and Tony Robbins. The team does not yet have a brand identity. The LA sports team will reveal itself in 2017 with its very own soccer stadium. Time now for a look at entertainment with Nancy Moreira.
The 7th-generation aerialist has completed a tightrope walk in downtown Chicago in less than 7 minutes. Nick Wolandi walked between 2 skyscrapers just above 600 feet. During the walk, Wolandi was partially blindfolded and wearing a microphone. The skyscraper website says the 35-year-old started walking from Marina City's West Tower to the Leo Burnett building. Wallenda is known for his death-defying stunts. He has walked above the Grand Canyon and the Niagara Falls. Golden Globe winner Lena Dunham has came to her own defense after reports she sexually molested her younger sister. A National Review News magazine columnist Kevin Williamson and Truth Revolt website writer Bradford Thomas say Dunham admitted she sexually molested her sister Grace. The 28-year-old actress writes in her memoir, Not That Kind of Girl, that she was a weird 7-year-old kid. In her memoir, she talks about exploring her younger sister's body and sexually interacting with her sister in exchange for money or candy. Dunham says she did all of those interactions to get her sister to trust her. The creator, producer, and star of the HBO show Girls tweeted that people should back off and stop twisting her words. Her younger sister Grace tweeted a few hours in her defense. Ouija was made it to the #1 spot in this weekend's box office. The horror flick made a weekend gross of more than $10.8 million. Coming in at #2 was the crime drama Nightcrawler, making more than $10.4 million. Fury, starring Brad Pitt, was #3. The thriller movie Gone Girl was #4. Last but not least, The Book of Life, with leading actors Diego Luna, Zoe Saldana, and Channing Tatum, came in at #5. Samantha and John, let's send it back to you.
Thank you for watching Matador News. I'm John Salas.
And I'm Samantha Benitz. Have a great day, Matadors, and don't forget to vote.